Hello, ladies and gentlemen. 'Tis I, multi-voice reviewer. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, this is exactly what all of you have been waiting for. And of course, according to my Doctor Who watch, time for me to do another sci-fi review. Now, this is a sci-fi review that a lot of you would probably be expected. The movie I'm going to review for you today is a box office success that Steven Spielberg had created, and it's none other than E.T. Extra-Terrestrial. Sounds like I'm doing the theme song of Star Trek. Well, anyway, this is a 2-disc special DVD I got here, and not many people know that E.T. here was actually supposed to be a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, another movie that Steven Spielberg already created. And also there was another movie that he was also directing at the same time, and it was Poltergeist. And of course, a lot of people used to think that Poltergeist is like the evil twin to E.T., where E.T. is actually wholesome and kid-friendly and such. Poltergeist is more of a straight-up horror, and it always involves a child who starts seeing something supernatural. And of course, and any of you are wondering if I'm going to review Poltergeist, no. I didn't care much about the movie, so I have no interest of reviewing it. But if any of you decided to force me, like you did on the Star Wars, I guess I'll try review it, but I need to get the DVD of it. A reviewer's work is never done, you know? Every time you get the questions and people wanted me to review something. Now, of course, there is this one movie that one of you fans want me to review, but sadly, I don't have any printers for me to print it out for me to do that review. I mean, heck, I still don't have a wireless printer that I want, and I still can't go to Belterra because all the bad stuff happening out there. I mean, all the rioting and such. It's scary. But anyway, back to E.T. Now, they were also trying to make it into a horror movie, but they decided to make it more kid-friendly. Now, of course, there was another movie that was similar to E.T., but involves a kid in a wheelchair, and it was called Mike and I. And, of course, they had product replacements with McDonald's, which it's not that good of a movie. It's definitely a ripoff to E.T. But anyway, back to the review. It's about this young boy right here. His name is Elliot. The name of Henry Thomas. Had to look up his name. Now, Elliot, he is a troubled kid. He wants to shut himself off in the outside world that he's living in because I guess after his parents was divorced and his dad moved to Mexico while he's stuck with his mom, played by, well, nothing to say about the actress who plays Elliot's mom. Anyway, the movie starts off. There was a spaceship. It landed on Earth, and one of the aliens got off. But as the government starts trying to find the ship took off, leaving E.T. behind. So Elliot all of a sudden encounters E.T. And of course, everybody. I mean, here's one thing I remember. This is a special edition, so there's going to be special effects that they added, like they did with the Star Wars movie. Heck, I remember that the agents were carrying shotguns, and they thought that was too much, so they digitally removed the shotguns and put walkie-talkies instead. Which I gotta say, that's stupid. But anyway, Elliot saw E.T. and his brother was egging on him, going saying like it might be an alligator, or it might be an elf or a leprechaun. And Elliot yelled out, "It was nothing like that, penis breath!" And of course, his mom laughed and said, "Elliot, sit down." But he finally communicated with E.T., and it turns out that he's a lost alien. And all of a sudden, E.T., he linked his emotions to Elliot ever since Elliot cut his finger from a circular saw, and E.T. with his finger glowing saying, "Ouch, ouch, ouch," and it healed up his fingers. Now, a lot of people do know that there's a lot of hint that ET is the same kind of alien species who a same alien species who is from the same universe as Star Wars, because I saw Elliot playing with his Star Wars action figures that he had that he was showing ET, and of course I remember in Trick or Treat, ET found a kid who dressed up as Yoda, and a kid who dressed up as Yoda, and E.T. walk up to the kid and going like, "Oh, oh, oh," but they had to grab him and tell him that's not who they think it is. Hmm. But of course, if you looked at Star Wars Episode 1, you could pretty much see these little critters around in the council. Hmm. I guess the Force is strong on ET. Imagine how that would have worked between Star Wars and E.T. Hmm.
So, E.T., where you been?
Oh, bone home.
Hmm, interesting journey you get been through.
Indeed, Yoda.
Hmm, you must have learned a lot in this one planet you abandoned. What planet that you were in?
Earth.
Earth. Hmm, never heard of this place before. Do any of them in that planet have the Force?
No. No. No force.
Hmm, interesting. Hmm,
See what I mean? I mean, it'll be kind of interesting that way. And sorry if I did some mosquito try to bite me. Anyway, back to the story. Now, he finally showed ET to his older brother, and at first, Elliot's brother still act like a jerk until until he finally saw the thing. And when young Drew Barrymore, yeah, that's right, the little girl, here, that's young Drew Barrymore, former child star, and became an actress as a teen, and all grown up. And I think she still looks hot. But of course, there's one problem I do have about Drew Barrymore. What the hell does she see in Tom Green? Huh? What the hell does she see in him? That gross, ugly piece of garbage? I hate that guy. Tom Green. I mean, he grossed me out. And Freddy Got Finger was the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Man. But anyway, when young Drew Barrymore saw E.T., she started screaming. But now Drew Barrymore starts teaching E.T. how to talk. And now E.T. starts saying, Elliot, E.T., 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 E.T. Oh, E.T. phone home. Hmm. So now after Halloween, when they did a little trick-or-treating, E.T. saw Elliot's older brother with a fake knife on his head. He thought he was stabbed. That's why E.T. started going all, ooh, ouch, ouch, ouch. And the older brother was like, it's a fake knife, it's a fake knife. But anyway, after doing some trick-or-treating, Elliot decided to take E.T. somewhere else. And, of course, the famous scene, Elliot and E.T. Levitating over the moon. And Elliot and E.T. start using using some of the electronic devices they have, in order to contact his home ship so they can go and pick him up. Until in the morning, Elliot discovered that E.T. he's dying. So Elliot, he ran home and started telling his brother that he needs to get him. So his older brother went to the old forest and found E.T. Oh yeah, and sometimes E.T. he connect his emotions with Elliot, and Elliot, I mean, he starts feeling sick just like E.T. Kind of reminds me of that scene I remember where E.T. was drinking beer out of the refrigerator, and Elliot all of a sudden got all drunk. And then all of a sudden, they were doing some kind of science project, putting these little frogs inside of a jar with a cotton ball. I don't know what kind of I don't know what kind of science that's supposed to happen, because that never happened to me when I was in school. Oh well. Anyway, Elliot decided to free all those frogs out. So and they finally grabbed Elliot for releasing all the frogs. And here was a deleted scene here, ladies and gentlemen. There was a deleted scene on E.T. where he got in trouble and he starts talking to the principal. And guess who plays the principal? Harrison Ford. That's right. Indiana Jones slash Han Solo, Harrison Ford playing the principal on E.T. Although it was a deleted scene and the camera didn't focus on his face, they're trying to focus away from his face, so all you're going to see is his torso, his arms, and his hands, and him talking to Elliot. But anyway, back to the main story. Elliot sensed that E.T. is dying because he's turning all white and he's getting really sick. And when his mother showed up, she thought it was some kind of toy that they got or something, but she finally realized it's alive and got scared. And start picking up Elliot and telling Elliot's older brother to pick up Drew Barrymore and try to leave the house. It's because she's scared, and, you know, the old saying, mankind fears what they don't understand. She just looked at this thing and was horrified. Until the government starts showing up. And the government, they took E.T. and the family and they started interrogating them. Until E.T. died. Which got to be one of the most saddest moments in the world. But he only died temporarily because Elliot stood next to him and it turned out he's alive. He's finally alive. And it turns out that that his people are coming to pick him up. So now they need to get out of that lab and go to that place where they're going to pick him up at. So, so with the help of Elliot and ET and also his older brother, they took the van and drove off. And of course, there's a bunch of teenagers who are Elliot's brother's best friend. They want his help to create a distraction. So they all got on their bikes while ET be on the front of the basket, while Elliot ride his bike. And as they were kept going, while the government keeps trying to go after them, all of a sudden, ET did it again. He levitated all their bikes while the cops tried to slow them down. And of course, there is this guy from the agency who's been eavesdropping on them and such. He starts to realize what's going on. Even young Drew Barrymore discovers that ET is going home. So, Elliot took ET exactly the right spot where he's supposed to be. And the ship finally showed up. So, Drew, and I remember in this scene in the movie, huh, young Drew Barrymore give E.T. a kiss. Good old Steven Spielberg. Now, E.T. tells Elliot that home is where the heart is right here, and told him to be good. And as he go home, that was the end of the movie. And that was the end of E.T. And after E.T. became a huge success, I remember that somebody did a audiobook of E.T., and guess who did the narration? Michael Jackson. That's right, Michael Jackson did the narration on the audiobook of E.T. Hee hee, Shimon! Woo! Now, E.T. became a huge phenomenon, and when they did the 20th anniversary, which I think that's where I got this disc from, they did there were a couple of games they made, and I also do remember about the Atari ET movie. I never played it because I never had an Atari. I do have an Atari Flashback, but it's not the same. It doesn't have an ET game in it. But I heard but I also heard that when that one creator created that ET Atari game, now, they say it used to be a urban legend, but it turned out to be really, really true. That the that that the Atari ET game were selling like hotcakes, but sadly, people didn't get the gist of the game. I guess you had to use the booklet in order to play the game because a lot of people couldn't make heads or tails and got really peed off about it. That they always kept bringing the games back, and they say that the creator had to round up all the ET Atari games, put them out in Las Vegas, Nevada, out in Nevada, where Area 51 was supposed to be, and they dug a hole, a deep hole, and pour all those Atari games in and try to cover it with cement so nobody ain't going to be using it anymore. But there's a lot of people who kept digging and kept finding it, and they start playing it. There's even a documentary about the Atari ET game. I mean, it's a really bad game, but you gotta read the book in order to beat it. In the game, you're just playing ET, and you gotta watch out for secret agents or other bad guys who's trying to either steal the parts you connected. You're supposed to find parts to form a phone so you can call your alien people and you can go back home. And believe it or not, somebody had wrote a book about a sequel of E.T. There was a horror one where where they did one sequel that they thought up. E.T. went back home. Went back to Earth, but he brought his friends. But his friends turns out to be evil. But they dropped that idea and used that premise for Gremlins. Now to self-review Gremlins. But anyway, there was another one though. There was a book where it's supposed to be a canon sequel to the first E.T. movie. And how the story goes, E.T. went to his home planet and he starts teaching other aliens to be more friendly and peaceful. And he starts teaching other aliens how to garden and such until Elliot was all grown up, but he starts changing. So, what E.T. is doing, he's trying to form a psychic link to Elliot to try to remind him to be good and not be bad. You know, I wish there is somebody who has a psychic link to all of us to teach us not to be so horrible and stupid. Like I mean, pretty much the rest of the world is filled up with Karens and so-called peaceful protesters who always keeps trying to destroy what is part of our history and just won't go through the law. I mean, it just makes me feel like I want to grab a phone, it connects to everybody's brain, and get all Jim Carrey from Liar Liar saying, "Stop breaking the law, a-hole!" That's how I feel. But But of course, besides the Atari game, it got popular enough that they did a PlayStation and a GameCube video game of E.T., which I never tried because, well, I mean, I like E.T., but I'm not that crazy about it because there were tons of merchandise. And also, there was also a Game Boy Advance version of it, but I haven't tried it either. Well, that is my review of E.T. So, for those of you who enjoy my review, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more reviews. And, oh, one thing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be appearing on the audio drama. And, I'm coming back as the doctor, but this ain't my story. You see, I contacted a good friend of mine from Scotland who goes by the name of David. He's going to be my next doctor. So, I'm going to be, I mean, in the beginning, I regenerated into my good friend David, and and he's going to pick up where I left off, except he shows up into my area, and we're going to be dealing with a girl who has a watch on her eye. You know, clockwork. Except I'm taking the creepypasta legend of Clockwork and making it into a Doctor Who episode where she's part human, part Time Lord, and she starts stealing use from her victims by saying your time is up. And I'm not going to tell you who she's the daughter of, but you better stay tuned to listen to the audio drama. And what I'm going to be doing is that I regenerate into David. David becomes a new doctor, but he shows up in my area. So my doctor shows up and start teaching him the ropes. And it's called Doctor Who: Beware of the Clockwork Girl. And right now I did my voice, and David did his, and some of the rest of the cast are doing theirs. And when they're all together and ready, stay tuned because I'm going to be I'm going to be sharing that audio drama, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. So, this is Michael A. Grimm, aka Multi-Voice Reviewer, aka Multi-Voice Doctor, telling to you all, see you soon.